I sat in that cold lawyer's office watching Amanda smile triumphantly as she legally secured 50% of my business. 8 years of marriage ended with her leaning over and whispering, "You will be bankrupt within a year." The woman I had built my life with, shared dreams with, and trusted completely, had methodically plotted to take everything. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. My hands trembled as I signed those final papers, but what Amanda never saw coming was my own plan already in motion. Let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button before I tell you how I turned this devastating loss into my greatest victory. I was 24 when I first met Amanda at a networking event for young entrepreneurs in Chicago. Fresh out of my MBA program, I was full of ambition and ready to make my mark on the world. Amanda stood out immediately with her striking blue eyes, confident posture, and sharp intelligence. When she approached me and started asking about my business plans, I was immediately drawn in by her enthusiasm and apparent support for my vision. "I love meeting people who have actual plans instead of just dreams," she said that night. "Tell me more about this software idea of yours." Those first 6 months of dating were nothing short of magical. Amanda seemed like the perfect partner. She would listen intently as I talked about my business ideas, offering insights and encouragement. We would stay up late sketching business models on napkins at 24-hour diners. When I expressed doubts about quitting my consulting job to pursue entrepreneurship, she was the one who pushed me forward. "Ross, if you do not take this chance now, you will regret it forever," she told me one night as we walked along Lake Michigan. "I believe in you and this business. Take the leap." With $35,000 in savings and a $50,000 loan from the bank, I launched my software company specializing in supply chain management solutions. The early days were brutal. I worked 16 hours daily from our tiny apartment, converting the second bedroom into an office. Amanda brought me food during marathon coding sessions and seemed to accept my limited availability. "This is what building something great requires," she would say. "The sacrifice now will pay off later." After 2 years of dating, we got married in a simple ceremony at the local courthouse. We both agreed that an extravagant wedding would divert funds better used for growing the business. Her parents seemed disappointed, but Amanda assured me she preferred investing in our future over one expensive day. "We can always have a big anniversary party when your company takes off," she said with a smile that I now realize never quite reached her eyes. Before the wedding, my father, a business owner himself, suggested a prenuptial agreement. Initially, Amanda seemed hesitant, but eventually agreed. However, she inserted a clause stating that if we remained married for more than 5 years, she would be entitled to a share of our joint assets. At the time, it seemed reasonable. I was in love and could not imagine a future without her. The business gradually gained traction. By year 3, I had secured several major clients and moved into our first real office space with 10 employees. As the company grew, I began noticing subtle changes in Amanda. The supportive, understanding woman I married started complaining about my work hours and demanding more luxury in our lifestyle. "All the other executives at these parties have wives with designer wardrobes and luxury cars," she commented after a business dinner. "When will we start living like you are actually successful?" To appease her, we moved from our modest apartment into a 4-bedroom house in an upscale neighborhood. I bought her a new luxury SUV for her birthday, yet her satisfaction was always temporary. Each concession simply led to more demands. One night, I came home past midnight after securing a major client to find Amanda waiting in the living room. Instead of celebrating with me, she launched into a bitter complaint about missing another dinner with her friends. "You promised you would start delegating more," she said coldly. "I am tired of explaining to everyone why my husband is never around." That night marked my first real feeling of disappointment in our marriage. The woman who had once encouraged my 16-hour workdays now resented the very business she had pushed me to build. Looking back, that was the first warning sign I ignored because I was too blinded by love and gratitude for her early support. 5 years into our marriage, my company hit $3 million in annual revenue. We had expanded to 25 employees and established ourselves as a reliable provider in our industry. With financial stability finally achieved, Amanda announced she was quitting her marketing job. I want to focus on our home life, she explained. Maybe start thinking about a family. I supported her decision, believing it reflected her commitment to our future together. However, the family planning conversations never materialized. Instead, Amanda filled her days with shopping trips, spa appointments, and lunches with friends I had never met. Each month, our credit card bills grew larger while her interest in our relationship diminished. Despite these changes, I remained committed to our marriage. I still loved the woman I thought she was and believed we could overcome this rough patch. I tried arranging date nights, weekend getaways, and even suggested marriage counseling when the distance between us became impossible to ignore. "We do not need counseling," Amanda dismissed. "We need you to work less and enjoy the success you have created." Then came the day my company accountant pulled me aside with a disturbing discovery. Someone had attempted to access our financial records using Amanda's email. When confronted, she claimed it was a misunderstanding, that she was just curious about the business that consumed so much of my time. I wanted to believe her, but something felt wrong. For the first time in our marriage, I began paying closer attention to her activities. I noticed mysterious phone calls that ended when I entered the room and text messages she quickly hid from view. One afternoon, while Amanda was at her regular spa appointment, I received a call from a business associate who had seen her having an intimate lunch with a man at an expensive restaurant downtown. My heart sank, but I needed more information before confronting her. Against my better judgment and personal principles, I hired a private investigator. Within 2 weeks, I had a folder of evidence that shattered any remaining illusions about our marriage. Amanda was having an affair with Jackson Sullivan, a corporate lawyer specializing in divorces with significant business assets. Their relationship had been going on for almost a year, and their conversations, documented through photographs and recorded public interactions, revolved around strategies to extract maximum value from my company. The investigator recovered deleted emails from our home computer where Amanda had explicitly discussed their plan. "Once we hit the 5-year mark, the prenup works in our favor," she wrote to him. "Then we can take half of everything and start our own lives." The betrayal was methodical and calculated. The woman who had encouraged me to build this business had been planning its dismantling for over a year. Each memory of her early support now appeared in a sinister new light. Had any of it been genuine? Or was I simply a project with a 5-year investment horizon from the beginning? I confronted Amanda with the evidence on a Sunday morning. Rather than deny it, she laughed, as if relieved to finally drop the pretense. "Did you honestly think I enjoyed being married to someone who cares more about their business than their wife?" she asked coldly. 8 years of my life, Ross. I deserve compensation for that investment." Her words struck me like physical blows. Investment, compensation. The language of business applied to what I had thought was love. "I loved you," I said simply. "Everything I built was for us." "Well, now half of it will be just for me," she replied, gathering her purse. "My lawyer will be contacting yours tomorrow." 3 days later, I was served divorce papers. Amanda was demanding 50% of all marital assets, including my business. Her claim hinged on significant emotional and strategic contributions to the establishment and growth of the company, despite never having worked there or contributed financially. To my horror, I discovered that Jackson Sullivan was close friends with Judge Thomas Garrett, who would be presiding over our case. When my lawyer raised concerns about this conflict of interest, the objection was summarily dismissed. The legal system I had trusted suddenly seemed stacked against me. As the divorce proceedings began, Amanda launched a calculated attack on my reputation. Rumors started circulating among business contacts that I had engaged in financial improprieties. 2 potential clients backed out of deals, citing concerns about company stability. A profile appeared in a local business blog questioning my leadership and financial management. The court temporarily froze my business assets during the proceedings, making it nearly impossible to operate effectively. Employees became nervous and morale plummeted. Competitors began approaching my key staff with job offers, sensing vulnerability. Each night I returned home to an empty house that still contained traces of a life and marriage I now understood had been partly fictional. Sleep became elusive as I reviewed financial statements, trying to find a way to save the company I had built from scratch. "You need to prepare yourself for significant losses," my lawyer advised during a particularly grim meeting. With her connections to the judge, "We are fighting an uphill battle." He was right. Despite presenting extensive evidence of my sole financial contribution to the business and documentation of Amanda's affair and calculated approach to the divorce, the final ruling was devastating. Judge Garrett awarded Amanda 50% ownership of my company, along with half of all other marital assets. As we left the courtroom, Amanda brushed past me with her new lawyer boyfriend at her side. "You will be bankrupt within a year," she whispered with a smirk. "Nobody wants to do business with half a CEO." My lawyer patted my shoulder sympathetically. "We can appeal, but it will be expensive and likely futile given their connections. Sometimes it is better to accept the loss and rebuild." That night alone in my home office, surrounded by remnants of what I had built, I reached the lowest point of my life. Everything I had worked for was being torn in half by someone who had never truly valued it or me. The betrayal, the injustice, and the helplessness converged into a darkness I had never experienced before. The next morning I woke with a clarity that only comes after hitting rock bottom. Instead of giving in to despair, I decided to approach this challenge like any other business problem. I needed a strategic assessment and an action plan. First, I carefully reviewed the divorce settlement. While Amanda had secured 50% ownership of my company, there was a critical detail her lawyer had overlooked. She had ownership rights, but no guaranteed operational control. The agreement specified she would receive 50% of profits and assets, but was silent on management decisions. I contacted Brian Winters, a corporate attorney specializing in business restructuring, who had no connections to the local legal circles that had failed me. During our first meeting, I laid out my situation with complete honesty. What she did was calculated and cruel, I admitted. But I need to know if there is a legal way to protect what remains of my business without violating the court order. Brian studied the settlement documents carefully. "This agreement has several interesting gaps," he observed. "It addresses ownership, but is remarkably vague on operational rights and intellectual property. We can work with this, but you will need to be patient and methodical." Together, we developed a strategy that would operate entirely within the bounds of the law, while protecting the true value of what I had built. The plan was risky but legal, leveraging the same loopholes that wealthy corporations use to protect assets. The first step was establishing a new company with a different name but similar service offerings. While Amanda owned 50% of my existing company, she had no claim on any new business ventures I might undertake. Next came the most delicate part. Over 6 weeks, I personally met with each of my major clients. I was transparent about the situation without vilifying Amanda. "Due to a restructuring, I am launching a new service platform that will better meet your needs," I explained. "I would be honored to continue our business relationship under this new arrangement." To my profound relief, most clients chose to follow me. They valued the relationship and service quality we had established over the years more than the specific company name on their contracts. Simultaneously, I spoke individually with my most trusted employees. Many had witnessed Amanda's behavior at company events and understood the situation without needing the details. 15 out of my 25 team members agreed to join the new venture, including all key personnel who understood our proprietary processes and client relationships. The most complex aspect involved the intellectual property. While the existing codebase belonged partly to Amanda under the settlement, all new innovations and improvements would not. I directed our development team to create an enhanced version of our software with significant improvements which would belong to the new entity. For appearances, I maintained the original company exactly as stipulated in the divorce agreement. The office remained open, bills were paid, and Amanda received her financial statements showing declining but still present revenue. From a legal perspective, I was fulfilling every obligation specified in our settlement. Meanwhile, the new company grew rapidly. Without Amanda draining resources for personal luxury, I was able to invest more in innovation and employee benefits. We secured 3 major new clients in the first quarter. Alone clients who would have never known about the original company. 4 months after the divorce, I received my first angry call from Amanda. The quarterly profits are down 60%, she snapped. What are you doing to my company? I chose my words carefully. The company is operating within normal market fluctuations. Some clients have chosen to go in different directions. This happens in business. Fix it, she demanded. That money is mine. 50% of whatever the company earns is yours, I corrected her. But I cannot force clients to stay if they choose to leave. 2 more months passed. The original company continued its slow, steady decline while my new venture thrived. I made sure every action was documented and legally sound. This was not about revenge, but about protecting what I had legitimately built through years of hard work. Then came the day I had been anticipating. My phone rang with Jackson Sullivan's number displayed. Amanda's boyfriend lawyer sounded nothing like the confident man who had smirked at me in court. We need to talk about the company situation, he said tensely. Amanda is concerned about the significant drop in valuation. I am available to meet tomorrow morning, I replied calmly. My attorney will attend as well. The meeting took place in a neutral conference room. Amanda arrived dressed expensively, but with dark circles under her eyes that her makeup could not fully conceal. Jackson sat beside her with a thick folder of financial statements. My attorney Brian maintained a professional silence as I greeted them both cordially. What have you done? Amanda demanded the moment the door closed. The company is practically worthless now. I opened my laptop and displayed the quarterly reports. The company exists exactly as it did when you were awarded 50%. Same office, same business name, same corporate structure. I have fulfilled every legal requirement in our agreement. Jackson shuffled through his papers with growing frustration. The client list has decreased by 80%. The intellectual property has not been updated in 6 months. This is clearly intentional sabotage. Brian finally spoke. My client has no obligation to guarantee business success. The settlement grants Mrs. Wilson ownership, not performance guarantees. Many businesses face challenges after leadership changes. This is theft, Amanda shouted, her composure finally cracking. No, I replied quietly. This is business. You wanted 50% of my company. You got exactly that. The agreement does not entitle you to my future work, my client relationships, or my continued innovation. We will take this back to court, Jackson threatened. Brian slid a document across the table. You are welcome to try. However, our analysis shows that my client has adhered to both the letter and spirit of the agreement. The original company continues to exist and operate. Its market performance is a separate matter entirely. Amanda stared at me with hatred that once would have wounded me deeply. Now I recognized it as the frustration of someone whose manipulation had finally failed. You planned this all along, she accused. No, I corrected her. I adapted to a situation you created. You taught me an important lesson about protecting what matters. For that, I should actually thank you. They left without further threats, both knowing that any legal challenge would likely fail and only expose their original scheme more publicly. 2 years have passed since that meeting. My new company now generates 5 times the revenue of the original business at its peak. We have 40 employees, all of whom receive equity shares and profit participation. The culture we have built focuses on innovation and mutual respect values I now recognize were missing from my marriage. The healing process was not immediate. For months after the divorce, I struggled with trust issues and questioned my judgment. How had I missed the signs for so long? Therapy helped me recognize that Amanda's betrayal reflected her character, not my worth. I rebuilt connections with friends I had neglected during my workaholic years and strengthened relationships with my parents and sister. Their unwavering support reminded me that genuine love exists without calculation or conditions. 18 months after the divorce, I met Laura at a charity event for young entrepreneurs. Unlike Amanda, Laura had built her own successful marketing agency and understood both the challenges and rewards of entrepreneurship. Our relationship developed slowly, built on mutual respect and transparent communication. She knows my story and has shown me that partnership can be supportive without being exploitative. As for Amanda, I heard through mutual acquaintances that she sold her nearly worthless company shares for pennies on the dollar. The last I knew, she was working at a department store cosmetics counter, the luxury lifestyle she had schemed for now beyond her reach. Jackson eventually left her for a younger client once her financial prospects dimmed. I no longer harbor anger toward Amanda. The experience, painful as it was, transformed me into a stronger, more discerning person and a better business leader. Her attempt to destroy what I built instead forced me to create something even more successful. The greatest victory was not outsmarting Amanda or building a more profitable company. It was discovering my own resilience and learning that sometimes losing what you thought you wanted creates space for what you truly need. Life rarely follows our carefully plotted plans. Sometimes the most devastating betrayals lead to unexpected opportunities. When everything falls apart, you discover who you truly are and how you choose to rebuild. What would you do if someone tried to take everything you worked for? Have you ever had to completely rebuild after a betrayal? Share your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Remember, sometimes the worst moments in our lives lead to the best opportunities for growth. Thank you for listening to my story, and I wish you strength and wisdom in your own journey through life's unexpected challenges.